still remember fondly the principal, getting me out the front of the assembly and saying, we've got a champion hurdler of the school, and Kyle, show everyone your medal. And it was a big moment because I'd sort of realised the power of sport to give you an identity and give you that confidence and self-esteem. And Kyle Vander, proud Warramai and Ewan man from New South Wales, born in Sydney, 1971, and I was adopted when I was 5 weeks old, so I get my Dutch surname from my dad, Vander, but I'm actually Aboriginal Irish. I'd had a bit of name calling at school, and kids had picked up on my skin colour and said, are you an Abo, are you a Boong, are you a black kid? And yeah, but sport came along, and that was the way I could just get that confidence, get that self-esteem. 15 years later, made the Olympics, and that was a dream come true. That was really what me as a child wanted. Whenever I put that green and gold on, it was representing myself, my family, Aboriginal people, and Australia. I would have been under 6 years of age that I found out that I was adopted. I'm probably very lucky that my mum, Pat, she had to adopt a child out when she was young. What better person to teach you about adoption than someone that's gone through it? The time for me where I learnt that I had depression was the same year that I met my biological mum for the first time, and I'd missed my third Olympics by 1/10 of a second. I had a relationship breakup that I'd been in for a couple of years, so we're pretty tough people, human beings, but we can't deal with when it loads up too much. There's something that'll give. I wasn't sleeping. The mood had dropped. I think all my well-being had gone downhill, and when I noticed it hard to put shoes on to go to the track and put my training gear on and put tights on, I'm thinking it's normally not this hard to get up and do these things. Yeah, my friend at Beyond Blue, they could probably hear what was going through my mind, and I'd never gone down the path of needing the service. So when I became aware, I've got depression, I just went into that mode like, okay, let's find out about it. Okay, it's quite common, let's go to the best people who can help me. Anyone going through depression, your first instinct's probably, oh no, I'll be right, I'll just keep toughing this out. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I'm grateful that I realised, hey, this is like an injury. You can't keep sprinting on a torn hammy. You need to stop training. You need to put the brakes on. And that was the same thing with depression. Just got to fully think about rebuilding. Let's get from a limp to a walk, from a walk to a jog to a sprint. I got back to an Australian team. I went to the Commonwealth Games and I wore green and gold one more time, so I was really proud of myself to get back. Started doing role model work, started doing ambassador work with Beyond Blue. If I can help someone get through their challenges, I'll be happy. I'm glad I got onto it quickly and reached out at the time, because it actually would help. Don't be afraid to go and talk.
Good morning, Kyle. Welcome to Really Good Radio this morning.
Morning, Troy. Good to be here, mate. Thanks for playing that clip. That's the first time I've actually seen it, so it was really nice to watch.
I get quite emotional, personally, watching people tell their story. I set myself up here and want to unpack so much on this show and make sure it's really authentic. Yet I find myself a bit taken back when I've got to come over and talk to you and talk to my guests. What did you feel then when you're watching that? It's yourself.
Yeah, I mean it was recorded a few years back now, and I just think of my relationship with Beyond Blue. I've been doing an ambassador role for over 15 years with them. 2004 was when I had that hard year, and I'm someone who always reflects back, and I get a lot of strength from how I got through it, the help that I reached out for. And it's a space that I never want to be back at. So I think the resilience that you build up in yourself, like even a promise that you make yourself, hey, I'm not going to get back to that space, and what do I have to do? Who do I need to keep speaking to? What's the daily routines I need to have? And so much has changed since then. I'm a dad now. I don't do sport. I don't have that pressure of sport. I miss sport terribly, but you only have to just trigger me off talking about sport or indigenous talent, and I'll be here for an hour with you. I love it. I miss it, but I'm in the new chapter of my life as well. So that's
You speak about resilience there, and I picked up on something that you said. I think in that you said sometimes resilience is your weakness.
Yeah,
I've never heard of anyone talk about the word resilience in that way. Can you shed some light on what you mean by that?
Yeah, for me, I'm a pretty deep, complex person, but I think it's that back to maybe sport where you're taught to, or you train yourself to be bulletproof. You work in the gym, you work on the track. You want to be so bulletproof on the day. So when you walk out to 80,000 people, you know you can handle the moment. You know you can handle the adrenaline. You know you can handle the roar of the crowd. But that resilience is great, and it puts you in good stead. But then, when you get something like depression, and you really need to acknowledge it and stop. Like I said, you need to stop and take it seriously. But that resilience that you have can just go, oh no, I'll be right. And when I had depression, I was in Europe. I was still racing. I stayed with a friend in Sweden. I was traveling over to Holland and Germany, and I was doing races. I was doing training sessions. I was still running 13.8. So that's what I mean. That was the scary part, that you become so strong you can actually still operate, still function, but 13.8 wasn't a signature of who I was. So it was 1/10 off the Olympic qualifying, and the selectors rang me and said, "Sorry, mate, you got close, but you're not going to be picked." And that was a phone call in July, and I had to go, shit, this is over. But I'd already made the phone calls home to be on Blue. I'd already seen a doctor in Sweden. I'd already knew that, okay, let's take the sports hat off. What does Kyle need? And Kyle just needed to get home and go and start getting some serious help. And I was one of those athletes too that if I ever got an injury, I didn't accept one diagnosis from one doctor. I would go, okay, that doctor said I might have a strain. I'd say, well, can I get an MRI? Can I go and see an accurate picture of this? Can I do hyperbaric chamber? What's other treatments? So I left no stone unturned for any injuries. I was a bit over the top. I'd even read anatomy books, and I'd go into the doctor's appointment and I'd say, no, I think my bursa is inflamed on my calcaneum behind my Achilles. And he'd go, how do you know that? I go, well, I just read up on it because I'm sore in that area, and I want to get on top of it. And so they probably didn't appreciate just an athlete trying to tell them what to do, but I just wanted to be informed. I wanted to inform myself. So the same thing with depression. I thought, shit, my mood's dropped. I'm not feeling great. Who are the best people? Okay, I know Beyond Blue. Made the phone call. Went to see Professor Patrick McGorry, which I didn't know his level in that space. But now I'm like, shit, I went to the best.
Yeah, right.
we had some great chats, and he, after 5 chats, he said, Kyle, you really express yourself well. You're getting through this. And so that, to me, that was like going to 5 physio treatments for a hammy. You know,
Right.
like you have to get on top of things, and that's what's made me an ambassador. I just share my story. Depression's different for everyone, so it's not, my story hopefully connects to some people, and don't ever sit there feeling alone or feeling like you can't do anything. You know, go and reach out, and it might be a family friend or a close friend that, you know, you'll get that question. Some people will say, hey, you all right? How are you going? And I still get that from good friends, and or even get a text, you know, Kyle, hey, you didn't respond to a couple of my texts, you know, are you all right? And then I'll go, oh yeah, I'm going into my hole a bit here.
Cool.
I'll respond. So yeah, you need to listen to the good friends, that they'll know when your mood's dropped or something, you know, something's not right.
Were you always someone that you kind of explained it in a little bit, dotted your I's and crossed your T's in everything you did? Or was it, I know that in my very limited experience, friendships with supreme athletes, I call you at an elite level, if you don't have that kind of mentality, you could be losing a spot on an Olympic team or something if you don't be so methodical. Was it Olympics or that elite sportsmanship, that elite level that a lot of people probably don't understand, that brought that methodic thinking in, or were you just a cruisy kid growing up, and then all of a sudden you're told, hey, check your skin folds, tie your hey, you don't, and you're looking at everything at a minute level. I know a lot of cyclists have got, they're messed up, like at a lot of elite levels.
I feel like I'm a bit of I'm a Gemini, so there's people say, oh, you're two-faced. I go, no, I'm not two-faced, but there's definitely two sides to me, and I'm a very shy person. I'm not a super confident person. I'm not an assertive person, but on the training track, people seen this assertive guy. People seen this guy that was well organized. You know, everything was planned. My bag wasn't packed the morning that I competed. I packed it the night before. My singlet was, the numbers were lined up. The laces were redone. The spikes were tightened up the day before. So I had that approach to my sport. I'm still trying to get that with my life. Yeah.
So
my phone charged. Oh shit! Where's this? Where's that? I've got to get to work. Have I called that person back? Have I emailed that person back? So it's not. It's definitely hard to bring into your normal life and family life, but it's definitely in me, and that was what I loved about sport. It's and I think that's what I say to young people, like, you don't worry if you're a bit quiet or a bit shy, or if you lack some confidence. I said I'm someone that could see it come out in me. It might not be my natural personality traits that you see every day, but geez, when I rocked up to a track, I looked very assertive, and people were like, "Shit, get out of his way. He's going to knock us down today." And, but I'm not that person. You know me. I'm very you know, I don't want to hurt a fly.
Yeah. Oh, I can see the picture behind me. You do look exceptionally assertive. We all dream. I mean, you are training every day. I want to. When did you first realize that you had a gift on the track? There's one thing being quick, and who encouraged you to chuck some extra obstacles in front of you, 100 meters, and put some hurdles in the way?
I was a bit short as a young kid, and I did little athletics. I was very skinny as well, and Little Ash provided the platform to just try every event out. And I went into the sprints. I wasn't the biggest kid on the start line, so I got the 5th or the 6th in the races, and Mum said, no, just keep trying, keep going, and you know, you get those little kids that are a gun. They've almost developed, so they were the ones that were winning the races. And then the hurdles just popped up as an event that, maybe evened it out a bit, because those bigger kids had to use a technique, and then I thought, oh, maybe I could get back a little bit, and I enjoyed the running and jumping over the hurdles, and then it became a bit technical, and I think that's what I fell in love with, was that execution you needed, that precision you needed to try and train. And so as I got through Little Ass, and then I got into high school, and I went to a tech school in Mitcham, and it's my first day. They said, "Hey, we've heard about you. You're going to hurdle for our school. We've got a bit of a history here at the tech school. We've won the tech school champs 10 years in a row." And so I just joined this great culture within the school, and I did building, plumbing, automotive. I did all the trades. I love working with my hands, but yeah, just have great memories from high school where hurdles took off. But yeah, it's a technical event. I think that just suited me, that it was something that you had to be very be dedicated to that technical precision.
Can you remember when you got that belief? You talked a bit about it in that how it gave you self-confidence. I'm assuming that self-confidence doesn't just pop up when you're at the Olympics. It starts. No. It would have started just a little bit earlier, I would think. When did you first start thinking, I'm all right here, and man, I might be quiet?
Yeah, I think the medals that I talked about in that video, and the school and the principal asking me to the front of the assembly, that was in grade 5. I got a bronze at the state primaries, and then I went back in grade 6 and got the gold at state primaries. And they're these tiny little medals, but they're probably, I look at them still as my most important medals, because I gave myself that permission, like, hey, let's do this. Like, you're good at this, and before that, I was getting called names at school, and Abo and Bung and Black Kid, and I was going through a real rough time. Mum was looking at me at home crying and trying to scratch my skin and get the colour off, and she broke down in tears, going, "Geez, what do I do for this kid? Like, I want him to be confident." And she called all the Aboriginal community up. She called CEOs and executives up, and I still get a lot of the elders come up to me now and say, "Hey, your mum, your mum was being a bit of a pest, calling us up." But they comment now on it in a loving way, because they see the commitment, and going back to your question, like, that Mum had that belief. She said, "Kyle, you're going to do something special," and I was like, "Mum, I'm shy, I'm skinny, I'm getting called names, I'm lack confidence," and but she could see something, and she was ringing, like I said, she was ringing everyone, saying, "Hey, I've got this Aboriginal kid. I want him to feel confident. I need support for him." And they would have been going, "Hang on, you're a white lady. You're what? He's only 11. What do you mean he's going to do something great?" And she I don't know, she just had this belief, and I probably had to jump on board and go, "Geez, I better believe it too." And Morris Rioli came to my school with that name calling. Morris came and spoke to the school back in the 80s, and he shared his story. I think this school had such a treat to have an AFL player, but they had an Aboriginal AFL player, but he grabbed me in the staff room and said, "Kyle, look, it's not a disadvantage to be Aboriginal. It's an advantage, and you've got to use it." And geez, I was 11 at the time, and I was wearing Collingwood jumper, so he wanted me to get out of that.
First things first.
Yeah, but he just set me on my course. Like, here an Aboriginal man, sportsman, was saying, "Kyle, it's not a disadvantage to be Aboriginal. It's an advantage, and you've got to use it." And I was looking up to Lionel Rose on the TV. I was looking up to Yvonne Goolagong. So I had Carl Lewis and I had American sprinters on my school folder in high school. So I was looking up to people that were doing great things, and I was identifying with the colour because I'm like, this is what I've got. I've got to make this special. What I've got, and but that was the early days, and it just triggered me to keep going. 15 years later, I walked out in Atlanta to run the Olympic Games and heard this crazy woman screaming from the crowd. It was my mum, and I was in 81 kilo shape. I hadn't had chocolate for 2 years. Skin folds were down to 23 mils, which is 7 sites, which if any sports people out there, they know, skin folds. But,
that's hard work.
But I just felt like saying, Mum, shut up, this is the Olympics. But then it just flashed past me that this is the woman that said I'll make it. This is the green and gold that I wanted to wear. And once she did quieten down and I got my block set up and I won my first race at 10:30 in the morning and I made the second round, and then the next day I made Olympic final and came 7th. So in 2 days, you're just going on a roller coaster of emotions, adrenaline. You're executing all the training that you've done, but you're just doing it in this arena, which you're like, holy crap, this is not state primary champs. This is not this is not a school race, and
although you could have thought it was because your mum's yelling in the stands.
Well, that's what she did. That's actually what made me relax, because I'm like, this is what Mum's done ever since we relaxed. Like, she's just yelling, and she used to say, "Go, matey." So I could just hear, "Go, matey, go, matey," and I'm like, "Oh shit, Mum, come on, just settle down."
How many people are in the crowd? Did you say like 80,000 or something?
Yeah, 80+.
And you can hear your mum.
Yeah, she got a seat right on the start line, so I didn't know where she was going to seat, and here I walked out, and I had my game face on. All my competitors are in the tunnel with me, and then I hear, "Go, matey," and I'm like, oh shit, that's my mum. So, but it just normalised it. It made me think, okay, well that's what mum does, and she's just going off ahead. I better just do what I normally do and just bloody run your ass off,
You're just touching a little bit on your background, your Ewan mob, and what's the other mob? Did you say it was?
Warramai. Up northern New South Wales.
Were you always connected to country? And you talked a little bit about you were adopted and bravely sought help about that. It's super impressive, mate. I'm sure people are getting so much from this. But you talked about the importance of your mother there. How important was it, your culture too?
It was, and it was a real challenge to try and make the connection to who am I, where am I from, and I remember going on camps to Lake Tyers and where's the other place? Camp Jungai. There was a few Indigenous camps for kids back in the 70s and 80s, and I just wanted to feel that pride that you should have, and it took a while, and mum never sort of kept it hidden, and she said, "Kyle, you're Aboriginal, and you got a mum out there who had to make the biggest sacrifice and give you up, and you go through, I suppose, rejection, or you go like, why was I given up? Was something wrong with me? Did I do something wrong?" And but my mum, who adopted me, Pat, she had to give her child up when she was a 16-year-old. So she also taught me that empathy, that pain that a mother goes through, because I would see it in her. I would see her cry every January, and that she goes, "Kyle, this is the day I had to give my son up." So when I did meet my biological mum in 2004, she came down to Melbourne. My biological mum and my biological auntie come and stayed with my mum, Pat. So the women had a connection, and
wow.
I sort of set that up. I said to Mum, look, I know you've made phone calls for me and you've supported me my whole life, but this number is the hardest phone number you're going to call. And it was my biological mum, and she said, oh, Kyle, I can't do it. I said, you need to call this number. I want you ladies, you women, to connect, because I just feel this. I felt the floodgate ready. I just needed to meet my family, make my connections, and I'd had a phone call in '99 from my biological mum out of the blue. So we'd spoken on the phone. I was living in Canberra at the Institute up to Sydney Olympics, and I ran into a fella at a uni bar out one night, and this guy came up to me, and he was crying, Aboriginal fella. He was crying, and he's just looking at me, and I said, oh mate, what's wrong? And he goes, I'm not meant to say anything, but I'm your family, and I know your mum, and I know your uncles, and you're from great people. They're beautiful people. They work hard. They've got great jobs in community. They've got jobs in government. And I'm like, oh shit, mate, I need to hear this. And he goes, well, I'm sorry, I'm not meant to say anything. And I said, nah, just let it come. Tell me about my family. And my mates could see me crying and this guy crying. And then my mates come up like, is this guy giving you trouble? I said, no, this is deeper. Just leave us alone. But yeah, I think I might have given him my phone number, and then that's where the connection started. But yeah, 2004, I had a barbecue up in Sydney at my auntie's house, and people were walking through the door. Hi, I'm your uncle. Hi, I'm your brother. Hi, I'm your sister. I'm your cousin. I'm your auntie. And yeah, I was just like, shit, this is my mob. This is my family. And I've always had big calf muscles, so I was looking at people's legs, and I was looking at eyebrows. Calf check,
just checking if they're your family or not.
I'm like, yeah, shit, that big toe. That big toe looks like mine, or those nostrils look like mine, and that meant a lot to me. Like
yeah.
And I was a bit nervous too, because sport gives you a lot, but I'd become Kyle Vander Kuyp, and for a moment I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to be Kyle Vander Kuyp hurdler. I'm just Kyle. Yeah. I'm just Kyle that wants to meet his family. So, but I've always been humble. Like it's not, I don't walk into a room and sort of, oh, don't you know who I am? I'm always just Kyle, and particularly with young people that I work with, it's, I want them to know the guy, not the profile.
You've done some incredible. I could talk about my experiences in a very similar situation. It's almost identical. That overwhelming feeling of like someone coming up to you, and a lot of non-Indigenous people probably don't get this. Like adopted people might, but meeting uncles and aunties like real quickly, it's pretty intense. It's real intense. I can't imagine. But you asked for it. Like you had a barbie, invited everyone over.
Yeah, and
it's so brave.
And it was funny. Like sport, you visualize, a day walking out into a stadium, and you dream of it. You picture it. I'd pictured a barbecue for years and years. I'm like, geez, when I meet my family, I just want to have a barbecue. And then I didn't tell my auntie this, but my auntie said, hey, we're going to have a barbecue and we're going to have everyone over. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is what I've thought of. And then, as they all started coming through the screen door and, and connecting with me. And, and it's a hard thing being in Melbourne, probably because they're all in New South Wales. But, geez, I've got a big family and big mob, and there's aunties that have their own businesses and work in housing and work in consultancy, and uncles that worked in government, uncles that work for council, and I missed the chance to meet my grandparents and my aunties and my mum said, "I know your grandfather was very athletic, and your grandmother, she had a lot of sporting talent in the family." And I said, "Oh, what about the Ellas?" They said, "Oh, well, the Ella brothers are your first cousins." So I'm like, "Oh shit," So
Cool.
the genetics were all there, and thrown in with a bit of Irish as well. So
It's
so
like
that gives you that peace. You get that peace in your heart that, okay, I did the right thing. Following sport was meant to be, and yeah. So
your mum.
it's yeah.
Your mum, yeah, your Vander Kuyp side, that champion in your corner. It's so powerful. It's gone on. You've stayed, as you said, and you can. It's clearly shows you're such a humble guy, and you could very easily be kind of really proud about yourself outwardly. Patting yourself on the backs kind of doesn't seem like you spend too much time doing, but I think you do that by giving to others. Tell us a little bit about your work that you have done. You speak a little bit about Beyond Blue.
Yeah.
It's not the only place that you've popped your hand up or put your name to or been pulled into. Tell us about some of the other things you've done, and when did you start transitioning from athletics to saying goodbye athletics to, well, now I'm Kyle and I'm here to help my community?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's 12 years since I walked off the track. So 2008 in February, I did my last sort of reps at the old Olympic Park. Yeah, it's a relationship, like a relationship breakup, like a divorce. You have to say, look, I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
Was there tears?
I'm going to miss you. I'd done a hammy that day, and I went and got an MRI, and I thought, okay, I have to let this go. And I was 37. So yeah, walking off the track was hard, and letting go. I'm lucky. I met my partner May that year, and she moved in October that year, 2008. Then my daughter came 2009, and my son came 2013. So I jumped straight into that next chapter and being a dad, which was the next big dream. But I'd already been doing a lot of role model work. So I'd been going up to Northern Territory with Red Dust Role Models.
Yeah, I've had a stint with them too. They're great people. I was speaking to Wheeler last night about you.
Oh, really? Oh, good. So you got a lot of good stories. And
it's great fun up there.
I did an ambassador. I got asked by
it's 8 o'clock.
DHS to be an ambassador with their human services in 2006. So I joined Artie Beetson and Bo Dela Cruz. Michael O'Loughlin was an ambassador as well. So we went and went around the country. That role lasted for 4 years. I started working with Beyond Blue, and then more recently I've had a job with AFL Sports Ready for 4 years. I worked at Monash Uni with the AIM program. I'm working with Scavello now, which is a manufacturing company, trying to get young guys and girls into jobs in the building and construction industry.
In particular, Indigenous kids. Are you the Indigenous engagement officer there, or?
Yeah, I'm an Indigenous engagement
major.
So that's been a great role to learn about the real employment opportunities out there. I've been on the Curry Court for the last 2 or 3 years, so I really love that role. Working with a lot of the aunties and uncles and elders and our Indigenous magistrates. We've got two wonderful magistrates. So that's one of my most rewarding roles, is just being in the Curry Court and having meaningful conversations with the guys and girls that come through. But sometimes you're holding back tears because you see what they've been through. But yeah, I think trying to make them feel a sense of hope, a sense of how you connect into your culture, like you have got ancestors inside you. You've got to feel pride and connected. So Yeah, I love that role. And I just started a foundation in the last 3 years called Kalara Foundation. So we're trying to look at the missing piece in young people needing housing and safe, affordable accommodation to make employment really successful for them. So there's a lot of people opening doors for employment, but I just could see the last 10 years, a lot of people battle to try and find, well, where am I going to live, or how am I going to make Melbourne a success? So we're trying to look at housing with Kalara. I've got a fairly full plate of things.
Yeah, it's so impressive. I've just put the link up. It's KILLARA foundation.org, which is what Kyle Vander was talking about to us now.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, well, if we can get as much support over there, you've got Marshall Langton on the team there, and Ian Ham. I can see there's some.
We've got great board, and we want to be able to employ Aboriginal guys and girls to be skills coaches. So, in effect, be the mentors that will support young people in the houses. So we're only starting out. We haven't got any funding yet, but we've got a good vision. We've got the concepts great, but it's going to be one of those big things to try and lift and get on its way. And I'd love it to be national if we could go national. But yeah, we've got to just make sure we build all the relationships up.
I'm pretty confident you'll get it done, mate. You've been getting it done since you're a little tucker, mate, and those mountains that seem unsurpassable seem to get smaller when you're around, mate. And I'm super encouraged from listening to you. And before I go, I do want to I want to quickly just for kids out there that maybe Indigenous kids too, but anyone really that's facing that big mountain and doesn't have athletics. It's a common kind of assumption going, oh well, he's got athletics, man. He got a little bit famous. Of course he's going to be right. Of course he spoke to the CEO of Beyond. Of course he's going, like, what's he banging on? Like, but there's one thing that what from your experience, what would you say to someone that is facing a huge mountain right now? And doesn't have a platform, doesn't have mentors.
I would encourage anyone to, go and have that conversation with a family member or a close friend, someone you trust that hey, I'm going to be listened to, and I'm going to be, someone's going to give me the respectful time and listen to me. Because it's so easy to just say to yourself, no, I'll be right, or nah, just keep toughing it out. And if you need to have that conversation, really go and seek that person, and go and reach out for some support as well, professional support, because family will want the best for you, but the best might be going to see that professional. And probably that something sports taught me is be comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's another sort of twisty sort of words, but when you're feeling uncomfortable, and any space that I've been in, whether it's an athletics track or a stage to do a speech, it's made me grow. So when I say be comfortable being uncomfortable, is you need to have a conversation with someone and it's feeling a bit hard, a bit uncomfortable. You're going to grow from it. You're going to get better for it. So, go and have those conversations that you need to have if you're in a tough space.
Kyle Vander, otherwise known as Kyle, I appreciate your time this morning, brother.
Thanks, Troy. No, thanks for having me, mate. Thanks for having me on your new show, and keep up the great work, mate. It's really great to see what you're doing.
Thanks, mate. We've had so many. You can't see the chat. We've got comments coming in, watching as a fan. My greatest wish for Kyle was never about his sport. It was that he strengthened his connection to mob for his heart. And I was very happy when he achieved that strengthening. It's from a Koori fella, a mate of mine. Shelley Ware's on here. Love your work, Kyle and Troy.
Oh, Shelley, yeah.
Yeah. I got a mate of mine over in Germany. Wow, the Aller brothers were incredible too. Stacey Piper, Really great interview. Kyle was amazing and so important to share his story. Legend athlete. Thanks to you both, Kyle. It's just great to see that that you're still loved, but all the great work that you're doing, mate, and good luck for the future, mate. You're inspiring.
Thanks, mate. Look, see you when we get out of COVID.
Yeah, first thing. Thanks, mate.
Okay, then. Thanks. Bye-bye.